I mean, I've been in sales for over 25 years. And so this is a wild, wild moment we are having in the world. And look, I mean, just the fact that it can create so much, it could work for us. I mean, it's just a workhorse for us that allows us to not have to do so many of those little minor things that we're all used to doing all of the time. I mean, if somebody wants a simple question, why do I have to answer that question? Why can't I just have my assistant answer that question? And that's why I'm a huge believer, by the way. I was very excited about this conversation, Thomas, because I really believe in the technology, and I believe that this is taking us, and we're going to have a great conversation because I want to know your ideas of where this thing's going and in the future of all of this. But let's be honest, man, if you are a salesperson, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, you have to start understanding this technology because it's allowing you to have a more freer life. And I equate it like this. If you're a high powered business person with millions of dollars in budget to be able to pay assistants and pay people to do stuff for you, of course, out of our whole life, there's always been people like that, that they have, assistants that they pay $50,000, $100,000 a year that are doing everything for them. They're answering all their calls. They're qualifying all the questions that they're getting from their potential prospects, or just people that just have general questions or ideas to give them. They don't want to waste time dealing with those people all the time. Like that's not something they do. So they pay people to do that. So isn't it interesting though? And give me your take on this, because isn't it interesting that people look at ChatGPT or they look at AI or they look at all this stuff and they think it's cheating?
No, it's crazy. If you're a high-powered sales rep, right? If you're at the top of your field, rather than take every phone call, rather than get every message, you can literally set up the AI to do the low-value work for you, right? To do all of the work that is, grunt work, for lack of a better word, the initial qualification, and do it in a friendly, conversational way. So people always talk about, like, what if it offends someone, or what if it goes off the rails? They did this with doctors already, and they said, as far as the quality of the answers, the AI gave about the same quality answers as going to a specialist. But as far as the bedside manner, the AI was about 40 points better on a scale of 1 to 100. Because it would take as much time as the patient wanted to answer questions. It would answer dumb questions. It would explain things. It would explain terms. It would say, hey, is there anything else you want to know? Can I give you any more information? And it blew the doctors away on what you would really think of as the human factor, because it wasn't like, I'm the specialist and I've been studying this for 40 years. Why don't you just shut up and do what I say? It will actually take the time to go through and do everything with them.
Hey, look, I got a great story to tell in this situation, because look, my kids, they make fun of me because I use ChatGPT. I mean, I like using the technology because it helps me explain things even better. I mean, I think I'm a decent writer, but I've never been, that was not my favorite subject. I mean, I'm not an English major or anything like that. So when I write something to anybody, sometimes, well, not every time, but sometimes I'll just take it and I'll throw it in there. Like for example, there was a situation, somebody passed away and I wanted to send a really nice note. And so what ChatGPT does is it actually cleans up my idea, right? You still have to put the idea in there. I mean, it's not like, the ChatGPT is just figuring out what I want to say. It doesn't know what I want to say. I have to prompt it. I have to tell it my ideas, what I think, what I believe, what I, want to come across, my condolences to this situation. And of course, they're just cleaning it up. It just makes it sound so much nicer and cleaner and better. And and in a lot of cases, a lot more sincere and a lot more direct and straightforward. And am I making any sense here?
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, I know ChatGPT is a better writer than I am. And I think artificial intelligence is really the wrong name for this right now. Now, we might have a general intelligence at some point in time where it actually thinks up new ideas and new things. But what it really is the most advanced autocomplete ever designed. That it has read everything that has ever been written on the internet. And then it says, okay, someone is saying something about this. What are other things that look like this? And okay, here's 20,000 other examples. Let me put something together that uses those 20,000 examples. And that's how it works, right?
It's wild. But could you go into more detail in that? Like, how does ChatGPT work?
Yeah, so what they do is they have 1.7 trillion data points right now. And they've basically taken all of the content on the internet and they've scanned it all. And the reason that we're having this revolution now and not 10 years ago or 10 years from now is we finally have the processing power to be able to do it. And as that processing power continues to increase, this is going to get leaps and bounds better over time. So are you familiar with Moore's Law?
No. Oh, yeah,
So
a little bit.
I mean,
Yeah.
basically, it says processing power for computers
Right.
doubles every 18 to 24 months. And this has been happening since the 60s or 50s or whatever, since they invented computers, that every year and a half, every 2 years, the ability of those computers has doubled. So what used to take a full room to send people to the moon, I now have, more power in my iPhone, right? Far and away more power. I think I have more power in my calculator when I was a kid than they did at the computer that sent the rocket to the moon, right? So the same thing is happening with AI, but it's happening every 3 to 6 months. Which, what does that look like? Well, that means 6 months, right? 5 years from now, if it's doubling, it's 1,000 times more powerful. What's it going to look like at 1,000 times more powerful in 5 years? And it's 1,000,000 times more powerful in 10 years. And
I think, kind of getting back to my point of having an assistant, it costs me $20 a month. I mean, at least in using ChatGPT 4.0 or whatever it is.
yep.
I mean, I have an assistant for a couple $100 a year versus $100,000 a year that can write better, probably than that person that I'm paying $100,000 a year to be my assistant. I can ask it anything. I mean, I used it. I own a commercial property and I, rented it, I'm leasing it out. So there was a couple of things that the lawyer, it was late at night and I wanted to know some answers. So I just went in there and I asked it all kinds of questions. And matter of fact, I took the whole contract, I stuck it in the ChatGPT, and I'm like, just tell me if there's anything I should worry about or any challenges with this contract that you think. And boom, 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 all these different ideas and all these different things that I didn't see on the first. And there's just it's just so powerful. It's unbelievable. Okay, I have a question for you, Thomas, because I'm telling you this.
And it's probably not going to be better than the top lawyer in the field, but it's going to be a hell of a lot better than I am.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Or it's probably not going to be better than the top heart surgeon about hearts, but it's going to know more than 99.9% of the general public about anything there is out there. So if you're at the top of your field,
start, right? It's a great place to start when you're trying to analyze something. It's a great place to go, okay, here's a foundation, boom, 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 boom. And then you can keep asking from there. And if you feel like you're not getting the best answers, then you go to the professional, you go to the heart surgeon, you go to the whoever, but at least it's a foundation. And it's like you said, what's 1.7 trillion or whatever, bits of information. It's just wild, man. Okay, Thomas, because like I said, man, we're going to be here for 3 days because I have so much, because I'm just fascinated by you and I'm fascinated by this technology. Okay, so what are some of the challenges that you had when, developing this program and this app and this business that you put together?
So, I mean, you want to talk about being here for 3 days. I could write a book on all the challenges that I've had. So for anyone who's building something new, nothing is easy. Any of these things that looks like an overnight success. I mean, maybe you get 1 in a million that just pops overnight, but there's probably a lot of blood, sweat, and tears behind it for, working 60 and 80 hour weeks for years. And then, oh my God, it's an overnight success. right? They don't see all the work that went in and all the challenges. So we had to figure out the best way to advertise the product. So I can tell you, we had a bunch of issues initially with advertising. We started advertising. We had a bot farm put on us. One of our competitors put a bot farm on us. That was fun. So all of a sudden, our conversions went to zero, and our cost went up tenfold on Google overnight, and we couldn't figure out what happened. And then we started seeing all the traffic was from places like Moses Lake, Washington, and Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Ashburn, Virginia. And you're like, what do these all have in common? And they're like, oh, they all have big data centers for AWS, right? So, there was things like that, and, on all the different advertising platforms. By the way, figure out how to advertise or hire someone who knows how to do it. We're doing things for other businesses where if they don't want to figure out how to advertise, we'll help them with that piece of the business as well. But with the changing TCPA rules, cold outreach is basically going to be dead. If you start texting lists cold, if you start calling consumers cold, they'll start fining you ridiculous amounts of money. And next year, the gloves are coming off with the FTC and the FCC. So that's
You think
that's
it's going to be? You think it's going to be more?
Oh my God. So basically, there was a loophole. So it used to be that if you filled out a form online, right, they could call you from that company. What everyone assumes is I fill out a form for XYZ business can give me a call. But not only could XYZ business give you a call, if they have in their terms and conditions that they have data partners, they can then provide that data to their data partners. So your lead might be resold 1,000 times or 100 times to different people. And then, okay, it's 30 days old. Now we're going to set it to another group of people. It's 60 days old. We're going to sell to another group of people. It's 90 days old. We're going to sell to another group of people. And if you're not on the DNC, they will keep reselling that data for a year or so, and your data might go to 200 different companies. So you just keep getting calls out of the blue, you keep getting texts out of the blue, and technically it's legal. Well, they've just closed that loophole, and it goes into effect February of next year. And once that loophole is closed, now it's going to be pretty cut and dry. I filled out a form for XYZ company. If I get a call from anyone but XYZ company, it's a violation. And they're going to start charging, depending on where you are, $500, $1,000, $1,500 per violation. So if someone's like, oh yeah, you texted me 10 times, and then they get the data for your company, that lawyer, and they say, well, you also did this to 10,000 other people. Right. So let's see, you sent 1 million texts you weren't supposed to. Why don't you just cut us a check for $500 million? And I mean, they're going to
This
start
is
coming
real.
after
This
people.
is this is real. This
They're
is
going to come after
happening,
people
huh?
guns blazing. Yeah.
This is
And
happening.
if you look at the phone companies, they even said like T-Mobile will now charge you $500 if you violate their policies. And again, I think they're giving everyone kind of a grace period of 2024. But 2025, when all of this really goes into effect, unless they change the rules, if you're calling consumers, look out.
So now can AI protect us in this situation? I mean, is there any
well,
are they able to check the database before calls go out, or?
of course you can, of
Okay.
course, right? So I can tell you what we're doing. We're starting everything. We said, okay, we're going to make sure that everyone is by the book who's using our system, right? We're not going to do anything that isn't by the book. We had to throw a ton of people off our platform, which is always hard to do because we had a bunch of guys using the platform, and we were like, these guys aren't compliant. They're not following the rules, and we're going to get in trouble. So we had to boot them all off the platform, which kind of stinks when you have to fire 80% of your customers, right? Which I did a few months ago. We just kicked them all off, and we said, okay, everyone's got to be by the book. Everything is going to start with a form fill. We're going to get a certificate. There's two main companies that are doing it. There's a bunch of others, but there's two main ones. One's called Janaya, one's called Trusted Form, and you can literally get a screenshot of the person filling out the form. You have to make sure your terms and conditions are right. So we have our own CMS that we built to make sure that we have the appropriate terms and conditions. We have the appropriate legal language that is going up on all the landing pages, and we're building out thousands of landing pages. And anyway, if your language is not right, it's a violation, like in California, if you were to actually take that screenshot that shows the person actually filled out the form. That if you take the 15 seconds video of them filling out the form and you don't notify them properly, you're going to be in violation of the state rules in California, where you could be fined $5,000 per occurrence. So I think the government is really going to start coming after people for these violations. They want to clean everything up. The phone companies have already said you have to register your phone number for any campaign. They're trying to get all the fraud off their networks. And this is coming from the phone companies, it's coming from the government, it's coming from the states, the federal government. So again, what we're doing is we're running an ad somewhere, we have a landing page somewhere, we have an SEO form somewhere, right? Someone fills out that form, that lead will come directly into our system, we'll get a copy of a certificate of them filling out that thing, which we then save for 5 years, which is the statute of limitations on lawsuits. And then we will have the AI start reaching out to it right now via text, where the AI will reach out. Hey, this is Daniel. I'm your sales assistant. We'd like to schedule in for an appointment if there's any questions we need to have asked. Hey, Daniel, do you own your own home? Are you over 65? Or, whatever questions you might need asked, it'll ask those questions. And then if the person qualifies, it books them into an appointment. And if they go dark for a while, it starts following up automatically. Hey, Dan, I didn't hear back from you. Do you still have some time tomorrow? Right. Hey, Dan, you still need help? Right. And then it'll follow up the next day. And it'll just basically keep following up until you either say stop or, show some negative sentiment, like leave me alone. I don't want to do this anymore. Right.
And the AI knows when they say something negative or they respond back negative. So it kind of knows that, all right, maybe I should stop dealing with this person.
If the AI picks up negativity, it'll stop.
If you like this video and you would like to watch another clip, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.